I'm one of three siblings, a 29-year-old female, a 27-year-old female, me, and a 22-year-old male. This all started about 5 years ago when my older sister came to me and told me she was looking into our genealogy and wanted me to do one of those novelty genetics tests. I wasn't enthusiastic about it, but she was weirdly insistent. So I gave her the sample she asked for and moved on, not really giving it much more thought. At no point did I have a digital login for any results. I also never thought to mention this to my parents. A few months later, my sister moved 6 hours away for another job and was non-communicative. She would call Dad occasionally, but Brother and I found out that if we didn't call or text her first, we wouldn't hear from her, and she basically cut Mom off outright. When questioned about this, she would refuse to acknowledge that's what she was doing. Ultimately, we all just accepted it. Mom was totally baffled and brokenhearted, and the rest of us naturally became less close with our sister as a result. She and Dad only talk a few times a year now, and none of us have seen her in person in 5 years. Earlier this year, my brother did 23andMe and got weird results, leading to hard conversations. Finally, Mom and Dad came clean that the three of us were donor-conceived, a choice they made because Dad is infertile. They apologized for not telling us earlier, but Dad felt strongly about not telling us because he never wanted us to think of him as any less than our dad. Dad called Sister and told her this too, and after we talked, and she basically had a breakdown on the phone, it turns out that she knew Dad wasn't her bio father and firmly believed for 5 years that Mom had cheated on Dad and had been nursing intense resentment. Apparently, she did a genetics test 5 years ago and was puzzled that the ancestry info didn't match what we knew about Dad's family. That's when she came to me to get a sample. She sent it to a lab with hers, and they confirmed the results were genetic half-siblings with the same mother and different fathers. She drew her own conclusions from there, that Dad was my bio father and not hers, and that Mom had had an affair and uprooted her life to get a fresh start. She's now furious about the situation and feels like she's been robbed of the last 5 years. I was maybe less sympathetic when we last talked than I should have been. I told her cutting us off with no explanation was an insane move, and if she told us even a fraction of what was going on, it could have been cleared up years ago. I acknowledge Mom and Dad messed up here by not being truthful about our genetic identities, which I'm also struggling with my own feelings on. But in the end, it was her decision to make this dramatic move and slow fade with zero explanation. I also expressed how hurt Brother and I had been to be left out of her life, and that it wasn't fair to punish us for what she thought had happened. Am I the idiot? I don't know if I was unfair by putting the onus of the family fallout on my sister. LOL, not the idiot by a mile. You just wanted to comprehend what was happening while your sister was shady. She also made the assumption that your mom cheated. Well, I'm sure your dad is a respectable guy. It probably left your mom heartbroken to feel cut off from her own kid like that. You didn't even do anything that bad as a follow-up. You just stated that it hurt you and your brother. Even if donor conception didn't occur to her, her mother could have been assaulted. Her dad could have cheated first. Her parents had some sort of separation or open arrangement, etc. There are still so many possible explanations. I get cheating being the first assumption, since it's the most common. Still, it's insane to cut out a parent without even asking for an explanation. That could have been resolved by a single, relatively short conversation. I would be so incredibly hurt if I were the mom. Exactly. For your brother, this prompted him to ask, "Hey, Mom and Dad, what's the deal with this weird result?" He did exactly what your sister should have done. Now she's probably very upset because she realizes how stupid her decisions were. No doubt she'll project some of that embarrassment on others and lash out, as is how people get owned as badly as this. I disagree. Everyone's the idiot here. I understand your sister's reaction, but she took it all that way on a misunderstanding. I actually admire that she didn't inflict pain on anyone else while hers festered internally. I'd never tell my mom I suspected I was her affair baby. Your parents should have made this known to all of you from the start. These days of easy DNA testing mean that these secrets are usually going to come out, and often badly. I was adopted and known from as early as I can remember. I'm glad I did. I'd hate to find out I'd been lied to for decades. People should just be honest and upfront about this. I am in therapy with my stepmother, Emma, and stepsister, Luna, tween. Emma and my dad have been married for 8 years. I lost my mom to cancer when I was 5, and now I'm also losing my dad to cancer. Because I've never been all that close with Emma or Luna, and because when asked, I told my dad I'd like to keep the previous plans for myself if I lost both parents, which is going to my maternal grandparents. Emma decided we needed therapy together, the 3 of us, while Dad is still here. So we've been going for 4 months now. The idea of therapy is that when Dad is gone, we remain a family. Emma wants that. Luna wants that. I don't. Emma's always known that for me, any interest in her was always going to have to factor my dad into the equation. Luna kind of knows that as well. I was never the sister she wanted me to be. For a couple of weeks, they would ask me if I was removing them from my table when Dad died. That's the expression the therapist has us using, to basically ask if we'll be in each other's lives when he goes. The therapist wouldn't let that be asked right away. She wanted to work on some other things first, but she has allowed the question. She's also said that I don't need to answer. She reaffirmed that last time, maybe it was something Emma and I should be discussing without Luna present. Emma said Luna deserves to know if her sister doesn't give a crap about her. The therapist said it was not the way things should be worded, especially not to a child. Emma said it was clear I knew my answer, and I should answer. I told her it was clear she knew the answer and would not take hearing it very well, and neither would Luna. So they shouldn't ask the question they don't want the actual answers to. I told her they wanted to be mad at me, but first I needed to say it out loud. Emma's furious, and I know Luna's upset, and I feel bad that she was there to hear it all. She loves me and has never called me her stepsister or thought of me as not her sibling, and I've never returned that, and it sucks for her. Emma told me I was an idiot and that as a teen, I should know better than to throw away my family. She told me that I shouldn't hold all the bad decisions she made regarding me against her and Luna, and that I shouldn't take Luna's only sibling from her when she was losing the only father she knew and the only one who really gave a crap. I told her she should have never brought us to therapy in the first place when she knew what was happening. Am I the idiot for what I said, though? Edit. My dad is too sick to deal with the drama. Not the idiot. People shouldn't ask questions they don't want the answers to. And also, your stepmother saying you shouldn't hold her actions towards you against her is pretty rich. She told me I shouldn't hold all the bad decisions she made regarding me against her. Who should take responsibility for that? The Easter Bunny? Clearly, your stepmom has a set idea of how therapy would go and was blindsided when it didn't go that way. She started the sessions just to manipulate y'all and get what she thought would be backing up from the therapist that you should stay with the family. The situation leading up to the argument in the therapist's office was all her. She pressured you to answer the question. You gave your honest feelings. I'm sorry you lost your mom, had to deal with her, and now are losing your dad. This sucks a lot. I think you're making the right decision. Why is your stepmother so determined to keep you in her home after your father passes? It doesn't sound like your relationship with your stepmother has been all that great throughout the years. Could it be because you'll receive Social Security death benefits as a minor and Luna will not? Will you be receiving a large inheritance that your stepmother will manage? Are you the primary babysitter for Luna? The stepmother is very determined for some reason. It was my 26 female boyfriend's 30th birthday last month. We didn't spend it together because he was away with family, so I decided to organize a birthday party for a couple of his friends. Everything was settled, the place, the time, everything. Then maybe 3 hours before we needed to leave for the party, he got a call from a colleague asking if he could come to help him with something at work, and my boyfriend accepted. He promised he'd be back in time for the party. We were supposed to leave at 7:30 p.m., but he wasn't there. So I tried calling, but he didn't pick up. So I left a voicemail saying I was going to the party and he needed to join me there. By 9 p.m., everybody was there, but not my boyfriend. We all waited for him, but at 10, as he still didn't arrive or give any news, his friends started leaving one by one, and I decided to cancel the party altogether. So I texted my boyfriend, party canceled, everybody went home, and so did I. When he came home an hour later, we fought, and he left. I didn't know where until his mom texted me, saying that I was horrible for what I did, and that he would stay at hers for a while. I do feel bad, because I know he was really excited about the party. Am I the idiot? In what way could you possibly be the idiot? Your boyfriend blew you and all his friends off, ignored his phone, and then blamed you for not keeping everyone around for hours and hours without him. You're not the idiot. He's a jerk. And if he isn't sincerely thanking you and apologizing very soon, this is a huge red flag. I'm guessing his mommy didn't get the truth when she texted you about how terribly you treated her prince of a baby boy. Yuck. He had better have a good reason why his "I'll be there on time" turned into ignoring you and being 3.5 hours late. Cough, cough. Side chick. Cough, cough. Agree. What possible excuse could your boyfriend have for being that late? He went to his mom's house, not because he was upset you canceled the party, but because he wanted to hide from you and avoid arguments and discussions about why he didn't return for his party. My recommendation is to cut him loose. I can almost guarantee you that he didn't communicate with you because he knew you'd be upset and question him, and he wanted to avoid that because he already knew what he was doing was wrong. If I were you, I'd be wary of a 30-year-old running home to mommy after something like this and her texting you. Does he often have colleagues calling him to work from 4:30 to 11 p.m. without contacting you the entire time? OP, you didn't even cancel the party. He probably got a message from his mistress and stayed late. Good riddance. My youngest son, Tyler, teen, has a boyfriend, Marius, teen. Now, I like Marius fine for the most part, other than that motorcycle he rides Tyler on all over perdition and being a little rough around the edges. But lately, in the last few weeks, he's literally always around. He comes for dinner and breakfast and stays long after he should have already gone home. He'll just sometimes be there at the house, waiting for Tyler to get home from like a family outing. I could also tell it was starting to bother Tyler, and he looked like he might want a little distance. Yesterday, I caught Marius after he dropped Tyler home from football and asked him what was up and why he'd been around so much lately. He just kind of shrugged and wouldn't say much. Well, I tried to explain the best I could that we love having him around, but that maybe it'd be best if he went back to regular business hours, or that maybe Tyler could go over to his place sometimes. He kind of got this weird look on his face and said, "Yeah, fine." This morning, I hear Tyler yelling profanities upstairs. I go to investigate, and he starts in on how I couldn't say anything to Marius like that. A little confused, I asked why he was so upset. Tyler confided in me that Marius recently came out to his dad, who wasn't taking it great. He's been avoiding going home, and I basically told him to stay away. I apologized, especially since I didn't know all the details, just that he seemed uncomfortable with all the attention. Tyler somberly told me he was, but that he was just sucking it up for Marius. Am I the idiot? You're the idiot. Before you got to the part where Tyler told you what was happening at Marius's house, I already figured out something was up at his home. You should have asked Tyler first, especially after you noticed he seemed uncomfortable. But I also understand your concern. So now you have to put your foot down and enforce the rules. Wait, no you don't. I'm a parent. We screw up. You can admit it and come up with a new plan because now you have a more complete picture. Having someone over repeatedly is bound to be annoying, and you didn't know Marius was having trouble at home. You made a mistake, but you can fix it. Talk to your son and see if he thinks you should apologize and reassure his boyfriend that he's welcome or if he'd rather you leave it alone. Also, if late hours make you uncomfortable, you're the parent, and it's up to you to give your teen a curfew for when friends and romantic partners have to leave. Just make sure the rules are clear. You can also make a perfectly understandable, perfectly fixable mistake without being an idiot. Why is it a mistake, though? OP's under no obligation to have Marius there all the time. Not the idiot, OP. It's your house. If you don't want someone being there day and night, then you're well within your right to say so. His boyfriend shouldn't be there all day every day, even if nothing was happening at home. If anything, your son should have said something to you so you could better understand why the boyfriend was always there. So my son, Adrian, nearly adult, will be graduating high school in a week. He keeps his hair just above his shoulders due to his school dress code. Boys can't have hair at or below their shoulders. Apparently his hair's grown out to the point that it's no longer up to code. And on Tuesday, he asked me to take him to trim his hair. I obliged. Earlier today, I got an email from my son's homeroom teacher asking me to have his hair cut back to his ears. I asked why, and he said in more polite terminology that my son has been skirting the hair length rules this year, and his hair length and style is against the spirit of the rules. Further, that graduation is coming up, and all the students must look mature and put together for the ceremony. He then gave me unsolicited parenting advice, saying, again in more polite terms, that as a father, we need to discipline our sons and teach them to obey authorities. I responded curtly and ended the conversation. I showed my wife the conversation, and she said that Adrian's teacher had a point. She basically agreed with all the teacher's points. He's skirting the rules and needs discipline. She said he's been letting it go this long because it was technically within the dress code. But now that we've gotten a complaint from the school, we need to lay down the law with Adrian. She asked me to talk to him about cutting it. When I refused and called her ridiculous, this was where our argument got heated. She stormed off to supposedly talk to him herself, though I haven't heard anything from him. His hair's remained intact. I've told him not to let anyone cut his hair if he doesn't want to, and made it clear to my wife that I'd be extremely upset with her if she took him to the salon behind my back. I can't believe we're fighting over our son's hair, and I feel like an idiot for getting so worked up over this. But I figure I should get a reality check. So, am I the idiot? Edit. It's a private school, the best in the area academically, and rules like that are quite common among private schools. Not the idiot. He's within the rules. His teacher's personal taste does not the rules dictate. Thank you for your concern, but I doubt teaching my son to bow to arbitrary displays of authority would be a good send-off for his adult life. And a week before school ends? Really? It sounds like the teacher's being petty. I'd screw that noise and ignore this teacher. And also, how is hair length a distraction? Are other kids blinded by his hair, where they can't focus on anything other than his glorious locks? Again, this is a ridiculous rule and infringes on bodily autonomy. I'm picturing a slow-mo hair shake, sunlight pouring in from the background. Seriously though, shoulder-length hair is against the dress code? Beyond ridiculous. The females don't have hair length restrictions? Ignore the teacher. If his hair is above his shoulders, there are no problems here. However, if the teacher doesn't drop it, ask the principal if there are new rules you need to be aware of.